Object mode is probably most analysts' favorite method to examine differences about a sample. In object mode, we're going to collect an image, and from that image, elect where we want to collect data from. So the first thing we're going to do is optimize our signal. So I'm going to set this for a little bit faster scan right now. Hit capture. And this is the area of interest. So you see I'm at a fast enough scan that I could focus, move around the sample. This looks pretty good. I want to clean it up a little bit. So I'm just going to go over to the histogram and just bring in a little frame averaging. That'll clean up the signal pretty nicely. That looks good. Ideally, I want to make sure I'm utilizing the histogram's dynamic range as much as possible. So I'm going to just bring that up a little bit. That looks great. So at this point, here are the areas I want to analyze. So I can use any of these annotations for the analysis. Under the acquire, I can also reset the counter. So right now I'm going to reset the counter to 1. So the first region of interest is going to be within this area here. So I'm putting up a box, and as you see, that's BNN1. So it's picking up my prefix name from up here. If I want something other than that, I just would change it here, and that would be passed along. I'm going to then select an ellipse to collect in this region right here. I'll use a polygon to select and count within this area. And then I'll use a point to collect one of these bright regions. So right now, I've got 4 areas. Now, if I were to start acquisition, it's only going to acquire the last region I selected. To do all 4, I tell it to select all. So with that now, I'm going to work in my automatic mode. So I'm going to use precise, which means I'm going to be about getting 300,000 counts in each spectrum, which is a good starting point. And I'm working at 150,000 counts. So this should go fairly quickly. In addition to that, I'm going to use the automatic analysis, use the default process, which will do a quick auto ID and quant. And I'm not going to use auto saving right now. I'm going to reset my counter for my spectrum. Alright, for the next analysis, hit acquire, and here's my first region. There's my second, my third, and my fourth. So again, under these conditions, we're going to be pretty rapid. I'm going to change the colors here just to get a little bit more contrast for each one of these, which only takes a second. And now what I'm going to do is I want to look at each of the regions. So with that, in this first spectrum, this was collected from this box area. This second spectrum is from the ellipse. And like if we compare it with the first one, we see very quickly that the differences between the two of them are primarily at silicon. We're seeing more silicon in one region than we are in the other. Alright. This area here we see is from this polygon region, and that we primarily see magnesium and silicon. And then finally this area we see where our rare earths come in. So we've got 4 different regions within that sample. So with that all selected now, we can elect to put that into a report. Now remember, with the report writer, so with all our data collected, now we'd want to put this into a report. Now remember, when writing reports on the in and out controls, this in and out control just controls the object of the image. So I could either put it into projects, put it into report, copy and paste it into an outside report, or print it directly. I can also do the same thing over here. This one will control just the spectral information and also the quant results. So each one of those controls controls a certain section. This in and out control along the top line here, though, allows me to specify an overall report that can do multiple things in one shot. So right now I've got it set to object mode. I'm going to say add to report, and now when I click on report, There's the image, the 4 spectrum, and the quant results as an Excel spreadsheet. Now when we go into report, we'll talk about how we can change this. All of this is done through a template, and this is the standard template that comes with the software. I'll show you in a later movie how to change all of this operation. But right now, that's my report. And I can come in here, I can still edit it, so you double click on it, you can move things around and change how things appear, adjust the size and location on the frame. For now, that's fine. In addition to object mode, besides doing discrete areas, we can also program it to do a grid or a series of random points. This is a nice technique to do if you're checking for homogeneity or doing quantitative analysis on the sample. By utilizing those modes, I can do an overall uniformity of the sample. So with that, if I say select all, delete, that'll clear out the points. X will clear out all my spectrum over here. And if I select grid or random points, I can come in here and say I want to do 10 random points. Alright, and with that I click here, and now it's just put 10 overall random points. Remember to select all, and now if we hit acquire, it'll go from point to point to point. Again, in the acquisition mode, if you want to save the data directly to file, you can specify the file, you can save it to a discrete report. So we could automatically have it throw it into the report at the end of the analysis if we didn't wish to review it, or we can put it into projects. So with that, now we've collected 10 regions, so I'm just raising this so we can see all 10. And again, you can change this relationship as to which one is larger or smaller for convenience, and you can do the same thing up here. So if you want more real estate viewing area for the analysis, you don't need to always see all that information that's up here. Those are all optional controls. Alright, and with that, I can then take all of this, just like we did a few minutes ago, and just say, let's add this to the report. And now I'll have a second page in the report that'll have all of that data that we just generated. And again, this is all still editable, so if I don't need the text information below, I can say none. And that makes the spectrum larger at all. So now there's our first analysis set we did. There's the second analysis set we did. And as we continue adding on, the system will append it to the report.